Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome, fremde, étrange, stranger.
All are welcome in this place. Behold love's amazing grace. All are welcome. All are welcome. Bring your hopes, bring your dreams. Mercy flows and love redeems. All are welcome. All belong. Welcome all the broken-hearted. All who sorrow and despair, you are not alone, for you are God's.
Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome, fremde, étrange, stranger.
All are welcome in this place. Behold love's amazing grace. All are welcome. All are welcome. Bring your hopes, bring your dreams. Mercy flows and love redeems. All are welcome. All belong. Welcome all the broken-hearted. All who sorrow and despair, you are not alone, for you are God's own. Together we sing and we proclaim. teams, all are welcome. Amen. All are welcome. All belong. All are welcome. All belong. All are welcome. All belong. All are welcome. All belong.
Well, good morning, everybody. Lots of energy in here. I love it. I wonder if you'll join me to start our service together with our call to worship. Creative Spirit, source of life and love. Thank you for the breezes of change, clearing our heads and bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds of the oppressions and isms that divide us. Thank you for inspiring oceans of love, rivers of connection, tears of relief, and pools of serenity. May healing waters flow over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despair to bring joy in the morning.
Thank you for the good earth feeding us, around us, and within us. May we take this day and co-create a new realm of justice and beauty.
Thank you for all of these and more. We accept our gifts and commit to building, sculpting, painting, singing, and dancing them to life abundant.
So be it. Blessed be. Amen.
Amen. I wonder if you'll rise up in body or spirit and join me in a beautiful hymn, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Oh, please be seated. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to this place where your heart is in a holy place. How delightful it is to be with all of you, whether in person here or to our online community. It is wonderful to be with you. A special welcome to any visitors that we have with us here in person. We're delighted to have you, and of course, always online with us. We are delighted to have you worship come together with us as well in this time. If you're visiting in person, we have a friendship book. We keep it on the table in the gathering space. Go ahead and sign it with your email address. We'll get you on our newsletter list and keep you apprised of the many happenings that we have here in this holy place. If you're online with us, just send a note to office@faithucc.org, and we'll get you on that same list. Also, if you're on YouTube, it says right on the screen there, go ahead and subscribe. That helps us out big time for our channel. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and like and share. Delightful to be with you all on this beautiful Sunday morning. I hope wherever it is, that is a beautiful Sunday morning for you as well. Couple of announcements. Dunedin Cares, you guys. What? Wow. What? Let me do my best Owen Wilson. Wow. You blew it away last week. 322 pounds of food. That might be some kind of record. We're getting up there. That is awesome. Thank you for all of your wonderful donations. And just a reminder, when they drop stuff off, yesterday they noticed that the shelves, even though we're given so much, and other places are, the shelves were empty in a few spots. So there's pancake mix and syrup and PB&J. How did they run out of PB&J? So we need to do some shopping and keep those shelves stocked. We're going into the school year. A lot of kids coming home looking for snacks, looking for things for school lunches. And so we want to really help our families and our kids out. So if you are out at Publix later or Sprouts, my new favorite place is Sprouts. I don't know, you ever been to Sprouts? What a gem of a place that is. It's like Whole Foods, but it doesn't break the bank. It's amazing. Because one bag at Whole Foods costs like $900. You ever notice that? You're like, I got one bag and my bill is $982. What? Sprouts is much better. So wherever you are, Whole Foods too, if you're at Whole Foods, spend your $1,000 and get a couple jars of peanut butter. Whoa. Your whole paycheck. Yes, the whole paycheck is a call. We love you, Whole Foods. Really, we do.
You're knocking stuff down.
I'm knocking stuff over, I know. The Bob Huygens placed this very carefully and then came and moved it because I've been tending to get a little more dramatic lately. I don't know why that is, folks, but bear with me if I knock the flowers over today. So go ahead and let's stock. Talking about Dunedin Cares gets me excited, can you tell? So go ahead and stock those shelves. I'm going to offer another, what I think is a challenging sermon. You may be like, heard it a million times, or you might be like, whoa, dude, where are you going? So I like to talk. We had a wonderful talk back up here last week. About an hour and a half we chatted, maybe close to 2 hours. It was a long, rich, wonderful time of sharing. So I'm going to offer up another sermon today and then kick off a series. It's not the Jesus Parable series. You know how I work. I change things very fast. So hang on to that one. We're going to go to another one I find more exciting, kind of starting this week, but into the coming weeks, which I hope it'll be really fun for you. I'll say more about it, but I'm calling it Beyond the Bible, if that gives you a hint where it's going. So do come around for a talk back if you're challenged, if you're like, no, dude, I totally disagree with you. Come on up. We want to talk and dialogue, because that's how we grow together. So that's the best way to spiritually grow, so just to share with one another. So get your coffee, talk back. Is there something going, is Journey's meeting in the back today, or did I dream that or something? No, it's not. I dreamt that. Okay, good. Forget it. Forget that. Come on up and do a talk back instead. Get your coffee and come up front. My schedule is a bit up in the air this week. I was on my way, all happy, had some music cranking, had a full cup of coffee, rolling down Fort Harrison, and a guy turned right in front of me and smacko. There went my car, it completely totaled. So that was on Thursday afternoon. We're still picking up the pieces from that. So I don't know what my schedule's going to hold. I had a lot of meetings this week. I'm going to have to change some of those. So if I did have a meeting with one of you or several of you, I'll call you and figure out how we can, because I just don't know when I'm going to have a car until they get this whole thing figured out. So you will no longer see my Millennium Falcon, the blue van as I call it. It was my Millennium Falcon, you know? That thing, I was like Han Solo in that thing. You should have seen me. You won't see it in the parking lot anymore. I'm going to miss that car, but it's just a car, and myself and the other driver were both okay. So that's what's most important, right? So just bear with me for probably a couple weeks here as I try and get this whole, because this is the best time to start out a car thing, right? So bear with me in this time as I figure this whole puzzle piece out. Do we have any other quick announcements anybody would like to raise this day? Other announcements? Things going on you want to publicize? No? No. How about some concerns? I want to lift up some concerns here, and then we'll share, see if you have any as well. Please hold Suzette Hughes in your hearts and prayers. Suzette is going in for a pretty invasive bowel resection surgery tomorrow. The whole thing starts today, if you know how that goes, with no fluids, no food. She's in for a really hard week. So prayers for Suzette. Suzette, I know you're at home watching with us. Prayers for you, for comfort and healing this week, and for the doctors and the teams that are going to perform the procedure, the surgery, and for Ron, of course, and all those who will be caregiving you. We lift all of you in our hearts and prayers, and lean on us as you need to, and especially for you, Ron, give us a call. We've got food, help, rides, whatever you need, time just to sit with Suzette. If you got some errands to run, we'll be there for you. So lean on us in these times, and blessings to you this week, Suzette, and into your healing future, which I hope is smooth and quick. Mudge Murphy, continue to hold Mudge in your hearts and prayers, and Whitney as she supports her. Mudge is, I think what Whitney would call it, is in her final days. She has not eaten in several days, if not a week, a little over a week. Was able to see her the other day, and she's still Mudge, laughing and telling jokes, but Whitney's just waiting for that change to happen, I think, in this time. So hold Mudge and Whitney as she supports her beloved mom, as Mudge prepares to journey ever deeper into that mystery that we name the God experience. So peace be with them both in this time. Continue to hold Dolores Abad in your hearts and prayers. Good news is, Dolores, not the good news. The bad news is Dolores had a stroke a few weeks ago. The good news is she is at Encompass for a time of rehab. They determined she's strong enough to go to rehab, and she's chosen to live and fight another day. So she's in a really good spot, but you can use all the prayers and energy that we can send off into the universe for her. So hold Dolores in your hearts and prayers. Continue to hold Ginny Pressgrove in your hearts and prayers as she recovers from a really invasive surgery, a couple of them, and procedures. As she recovers at home, we're thinking of you, Ginny, this day. And continue to hold Ruth Ann Richwine in your hearts and prayers, who is still recovering from a pretty massive stroke. They're keeping pretty private and just focusing on her healing. So we send our healing energies off to Ruth Ann and to her caregivers this day. Chris Blood, who was hospitalized with pancreatitis, is now at home. Barry's here with us. It says she's making a slow healing progress, but she is at home. So Chris, if you're online with us, we're thinking about you this day and hoping that you get stronger and better with each day. Also hold Rosemary Randall, who's in the house today, in your hearts and prayers. She lost a dear friend, a Franciscan sister that she had known for over 20 years, who was an amazing woman, Sister Jeannie Williams, and she died last night at 79 years old. So Rosemary will hold you in our hearts and prayers in this time of grief, of losing a really dear friend. Any concerns anyone else would like to lift up in this praying community? We have Rod, and then into the back, Carol.
Yes, I hope that you'll continue to hold the people of Eastern Kentucky in your hearts. As you know, they've suffered mightily from this last round of floods. They had flooding 2 years ago as well, so it's just gotten worse. But the thing that impresses me the most is the resiliency of the people of Eastern Kentucky and how they go out of their way to help each other. And so I'm less concerned with their current well-being than I am with their future prospects, because it seems pretty obvious that the conditions are only getting worse. And if you knew the attachment that people have to the land and the abuses that they've suffered because of that, but they still continue to hang in there. You'd know how difficult it's going to be for them. So continued prayers, please. And I'd also like to offer up a joy. Today marks the 103rd anniversary of my father's birth, and I still carry him in my heart, even though I haven't gotten to see him in 16 years. So, thank you.
Joy of your father, absolutely.
Good morning. I'd like to ask you to hold up Daria Morgan. Daria is a friend of mine. Her husband was killed last Thursday in a car accident. She's home with an 18-year-old daughter. She also happens to be the home health aide for Mary and Carl Alexander, and that's how we met. And I've worked with Daria in their care for over 3 years now. So if you'll hold up Daria, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely. Prayers for Daria. Carol, and then Jana, and then back to Carol.
Thank you. First of all, Mike, glad you're okay. You can borrow my car. I don't drive that much. This is really about the power of prayer. I went north, and I had the joy of being with my old friends of 37 years, and my daughter and my grandbaby, Essie. And, you know, Mike knows that we prayed about her way back, and my daughter as well. And I also went to Bud's grave and put on flowers on Bud's grave and spent time with Judy, and that was really, really precious. And then also, those of us of the 37-year group planted a tree for Paul. Tall Paul, you might remember him, and that was a great joy. And we also spread ashes at Lake Dunmore for Anna's dad, my husband, long ago, and into the lake, and that was very, very beautiful. And so, the other thing I want to tell you is Jerry, and you've prayed for Jerry, my old friend. He was stage 4 cancer. He's entirely healed. No, there's been a lot of prayer happening, and it is effective, and it works, and I just thank you all so much. And lastly, I just want to also offer prayers, as we all are, for Mudge and for Whitney during this really, really holy time. Thank you.
Holiness. A lot of holiness happening there.
I'd like to add prayers for my brother Pete,
who lives in South Carolina. He and his family are there, and he's been battling, and still is, stage 4 liver cancer, and it's been a couple of years of really good but difficult treatment, and things are not looking real good right now. So please keep him in your heart and prayers. And you know, my brother, a year and a half younger than I am, and it's really hard to think of what he's going through. Plus his wife, Jan, also has cancer that she's, anyway, and fortunately they have 2 great daughters, grown daughters that live there that are helping with everything. But anyway, all the memories are flooding back of my brother. And I'm just hoping he can hang in there for a while yet. Thank you.
And their hearts and prayers in this time. Hard to watch a little brother suffer. Carol.
My former church in Lansdale, Pennsylvania, lost its pastor of 42 years, Sue Bertolette, age 66, passed away on Thursday after a bout of cancer. She entered that church in 1980 when Pastor John Touchberg, who was a pastor of this church. And in 1993, she had her master's. In 1999, when John retired, she became the senior pastor. But 42 years she served that church. She developed cancer. She retired on June. She passed away on Thursday. She would have been 67 on August the 13th. That church will miss her dearly. And as a former member, an active member of that church, we are deeply saddened. And that is my concern. Thank you.
This time of loss and grief. It's hard. Oh, in the back there, Joanne. Lord Countryside and the lady.
I think we are going to say the same thing, but we have a joy that our friends Vicki and Frank Mumford are here visiting today, and it's Vicki's birthday.
Hey, Vicki, happy birthday, Vicki. Mumfords are in the house.
And one more joy, the Lucas family reunion started in 1970 in Spring Lake, North Carolina, and my grandparents had a little 30-acre farm. We've been doing it on the second Saturday of August at 4 o'clock since 1970. We had to stop in last one was 2019 due to COVID, so we're going to revive that this coming Saturday. So Lori and I depart on Friday, if it's the Lord's will. And we're going to have another version of the Lucas family reunion this coming Saturday. So.
And this will be the first time the Lucas family reunion's ever happened with Lord Countryside attending, I'll tell you that. I want to say more about that. We'll save it for another day, but I want to celebrate that honor more. I think we had some fun with it 2 weeks ago. It's a huge honor, Victor, what you were awarded with that Mr. Countryside, and so we're going to talk about that. We're going to celebrate that soon, okay? Because that's a big deal. So keep us apprised when the ceremony is, because we're going to flood over there and inundate and take over that place with all of our whoots and hollers. So get ready, people.
One more thing.
Yes, Jen.
Thank you, Kansas. Yeah. Yay.
Remember when I said what happens when the dog catches the car? I think it just happened. Thank you, Jana. Up, Linda Teese up front. Oh, one more over there, and then Linda Teese up front, and then we'll. Then I've just got a couple of joys I want to.
So this is a mom kind of joy. So for those of you who have grown children, you know that sometimes, you know, they're just sort of living their lives and things are just going along. And that's how it was with mine. And they're 27, 36, and 38. And then all of a sudden, the last couple weeks, you know, so today is actually the last day of summer camp. My daughter is a camp director. It's been a really tough, long summer. So that's just for her, glad that it's over. But my younger son and his wife are expecting again in February. And then I have a son and his wife and 2 children who live in Germany. And they're teachers, and they are uprooting their family and moving to South Africa in January to be teachers there. So very excited to go visit them there. So yeah, all of a sudden, lots of news. Right.
Thanks for sharing. How about I just say a blessings on our teachers this week. They're going back to school. Good God, especially this year. Wow. And blessings on our students as well as they prepare to navigate another school year as well. But especially these teachers it's such a hard time to be a teacher. And if you've seen, you know, whether there's a shortage or not a shortage, which the Wall Street Journal seems to contend there is a massive shortage nationwide of teachers. It's a different story here in Florida because we like underqualified teachers a lot of times from the administration, right? But blessing, if those of you that are teachers here that have held in there for so long, oh my God, I thank you for your courage and just your willingness to teach our kids, especially today, in a time when they're making it so dang hard to teach and to do so. So for all of our retired teachers that gave all those years, for all of our teachers that are current right now, for all of our kids, and all of you that work in schools, blessings on you this week. Absolutely. Linda, take us away one more, and then we're going to move into some quick jokes.
I would like to thank the LGBTQ group that invited us to go to the Blur for Drag Queen Bingo. My partner and I went, and we had the best time, and we saw people in a whole different light than we usually see them here at church. It was so much fun. I hope you do that again. Thank you.
To get to one of those, so let me know when the next one's happening. I really want to go. That sounds like a lot of fun. So, hey, a couple other joys here, a couple celebrations. We have a couple birthdays. Debbie Diefenbach has a birthday today. Debbie's not in the house, but she's probably watching online with Ginny at home. So happy birthday to you, Debbie Diefenbach, whose birthday is today. Preston Kavanaugh celebrates a birthday this week. I think it's either Wednesday or Thursday, so happy birthday to you, Preston Kavanaugh. And our very own Joan Walker, who's in the house today, this very moment, celebrates a 97th birthday on Thursday. Carolyn, can we sing happy birthday to all of our friends like Vicki and Back that have birthdays this week? Who's got that whistle going? Wow. Whew, that's awesome. My friends, now comes the time when I invite you to close your eyes. Keep that joy. You need that joy. Keep it in you. Keep it a part of you. Put that into your heart to carry into your week. And take a few breaths. Trust that it is in your breathing that you're so connected to that which we name God, that the term can have so many issues for us. God, so trust that you are held in an eternal now, and that this present moment is a beautiful moment. Say that a couple times as you breathe. Present moment. Oh, beautiful moment. Let that joy meld into your heart in this time. And let us journey ever more gently into this deeply spiritual time, this holy time together.
Stuff here.
I'm a bit of a pack rat.
Good morning. I'm going to read some excerpts from The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I had to practice that a lot. For those of you who have read it, you'll recall that the little prince lived on his own small planet with a special rose that he cared for lovingly and carefully. But the rose was very full of herself, and she didn't give him anything in return. So he decided to leave his planet and search for friendship and love elsewhere. After stopping at several other planets, he finally arrives on Earth. A fox appeared near the little prince. "Good morning," said the fox. "Who are you?" said the little prince. "You are very pretty to look at." "I'm a fox," the fox said. "Come and play with me," proposed the little prince. "I'm so unhappy." "I cannot play with you," the fox said. "I'm not tamed." "What does that mean, tame?" "It's an act too often neglected," said the fox. "It means to establish ties." "To me," said the fox, "you're still nothing more than a little boy just like 100,000 other little boys, and I have no need of you. But you, on your part, have no need of me. To you, I am nothing more than a fox, like 100,000 other foxes. But if you tame me, then we shall need each other. To me, you will be unique in all the world, and to you, I shall be unique in all the world." "I'm beginning to understand," said the little prince. "There is a flower. I think she has tamed me." "My life is very monotonous," said the fox, "and I'm bored. But if you tame me, it will be as if the sun came to shine on my life. I shall know the sound of a step that will be different from all others. See the grain fields down yonder? You have hair that is the color of gold. Think how wonderful that will be when you have tamed me. The grain, which is also golden, will bring me back the thought of you. Please, tame me, said the fox. I want to very much, said the prince, but I haven't much time. I have friends to discover and things to understand. One only understands the things one tames, said the fox. If you want a friend, tame me. So the little prince tamed the fox. Soon his hour of departure back to his own planet drew near. Ah, said the fox, I shall cry. I never wished you any harm, said the little prince, but you wanted me to tame you. And now you're going to cry? Yes, that is so, said the fox. Then it has done no good at all. It has done me good, said the fox, because of the color of the wheat fields. When you come to say goodbye to me, I shall make you a present of a secret. So the little prince went back to the fox. Goodbye, he said. Goodbye, said the fox, and here's my secret. It's a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye.
Our reading today comes from the Gospel of Matthew 18, 1-5. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a child and whom he put among them and said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven."
Thank you, Tom. Rearrange all my stuff up here. You talking about like the 14 coffee cups I have underneath here? Is that... I think one time I did have 4 under here. It was like, whoa, that's where all my cups are. Oh, so last week we journeyed into the story of the James Webb Telescope and some of the breathtaking images that have come back to us from its deep peak into space, a deep peak that goes all the way, they're telling us, back to a mere 400 million years before the Big Bang, almost back to the beginning of time. Have you been tuning into some more of those photos this week? Is they're coming out? That's good, because I challenged us to sit with those images and others that are emerging, have emerged, week to week, and will emerge more, in the hopes of expanding a bit of our religious vision by allowing a heightened sense of awe and wonder to move us to new levels of spiritual awareness. Now, not as tiny, this is easy to do, tiny, minuscule, and insignificant parts of this massive universe, almost too crazy big to understand, no, but rather as us as a part of that universe, a part of its journey, a part of its unfolding, and especially with that Neil deGrasse Tyson clip I showed, as part of it, as connected to it, containing the same atoms. How does that make you feel? You have the same atoms and the same stardust that compose things that are literally light years away and billions of years old. It's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it? So think about that. So I was hoping to encourage you to begin a spiritual practice of awe and wonder that involves the micro-amazements that are a part of us, each one of you, in our very cells, in our very DNA, all of this and around us at this micro level, all the way to that macro level, and the amazements of the universe all around us, or as some are calling it, the multiverse. Have you heard of that? multi-universes and beyond that seem so distant from us, distant stars and nebula and galaxies and other potential life out there that would blow our minds, and God forbid, potential universes. For I contend it is in the depths of the beat of your very own heart, to the flip of a monarch's golden orange wing in the garden out there, or to that 7 light-year tall, mountainous, gassy cloud Carina Nebula that we saw last week, and to all of that in between, and to all of that beyond, that we are interconnected. So I'm hoping to get us to see we are interwoven with all of that, with everything. We are interrelated in a grand sense of what I like to call, and Thich Nhat Hanh called, a sense of interbeing. Interbeing, B-E-I-N-G. And that has never really been allowed and encouraged to be a part of our religious viewpoint before, has it? Not really. But in this modern day and age, that's what I'm trying to get at, it sure needs to be. It sure needs to be. For in that idea, this idea of interbeing, I believe is the greatest sense of awe and wonder and the heartbeat of the deepest recesses of the spiritual life. And it's where, hopefully, our spirituality is going. I mean that as a church, and I mean that as a whole. I say hopefully. Now, I said last week that a stumbling block toward growing our sense of amazement, awe, and wonder, those things that we really need to define the heart of our spiritual lives in this day and age, is, well, it's that ancient book. Love it or loathe it, the one everybody has a copy of on their shelf. Yet few blow the dust off to actually take out and read. That's okay, actually. You know this book I'm talking about? The Bible, right? Yet also one that, since we are children, we've been told that it contains the totality of our religious and spiritual understanding in a nutshell. That one book, sitting dusty on your bookshelf, is supposed to contain the totality of your spiritual understanding in a nutshell. That's how most of you in here, and myself included, were raised, right? Yeah, don't look beyond that. For the origins of the world and the skies and humans and creation and the fall that once happened once upon a time in Genesis, to the stories of Jesus and his life and the complete reinterpretation later of Jesus in terms of salvation by Paul in his letters, right through to the end times of Revelation and the return, this crazy belief in the return that Jesus will come back to judge the living and the dead. This book, more than any other, this book has held captive our sense of religion and therefore our spiritual lives. Now, whether we want to admit it or not, this ancient collection of human writings, and they are that, they're human writings, is still seen by so many as a defining paradigm of their religious lives. And that means that the world is still seen as fallen. Ugh. That God is still seen as a man in the sky. Ugh. Jesus still saves as the ultimate sacrifice, and that's all you need to know. Ugh. And all that we need to know comes from this book that you need to come and hear, people, once a week in this space when you come to worship your God and take Jesus into your heart as his son and as your source of salvation. Now I know, you can say all you want, protest Mike. I don't believe that. I don't believe that anymore, Mike. Many likely have made an effort to free themselves from those ideas, but they still play like a tape. They're still in your psyche. They play like a tape in the backgrounds of our minds for so many of us. These childhood ingrained ideas are so hard to escape, especially because of the fear and the judgment laced within them, this dangerous fear and this vile judgment. And they have a deep and abiding place in our minds, and they leave little room to ponder the possibilities that maybe, just maybe, this isn't how It really is. Have you ever thought that when it comes to your religious journey, your Christian journey? Maybe there's more to it. Maybe I'm being shortchanged here. But all too often, people either they do a couple things. One, they choose to stay in the confines of that biblical mindset as the foundation of their spiritual life because, well, one, it's just easier. I'll go to Joel Osteen's church and give him some money, and I'm all good, right? Hail the happy preacher. Put in my face, I'm good for the rest of the week. Cha-ching. Good to go to heaven. So people keep that because it's often it's easier, right? Or less scary than challenging it. Or the other alternative for so many folks that I know of, so many that I listen to, is that they leave it all behind and convince themselves that they don't have a spiritual life. And they turn away from it altogether because they just can't believe all that stuff in a meaningful way anymore. Now, both of these extremes aren't helpful. And both keep us from the fruits of a beautiful life, spiritual life full of awe and wonder and amazement at the miracles exploding around us in every dang single moment of life, including right here in each of you, right in this very millisecond and moment. Now I know, I'm going to go again. Mike. So I heard a few times last week and this week, which I love, by the way. Keep that coming. The Bible contains so much beauty and meaning, we can't just throw it away, right? I heard a lot of that. And I agree with you completely, 100%. I agree with you completely. Don't throw it away, as tempting as that is at times with some of the garbage that lies within its pages, if you've really ever read it. Besides, for me, as John Shelby Spong wrote, I love his words, I treasure the Bible. This is a quote. I treasure the Bible. I live in it and work on it all the time. But it is not the Word of God. It's the tribal story of a particular people. And the best thing about that story is that the story keeps growing and evolving, end quote. I mean, yeah, I get it. I mean, what would life be like without some of these stories? Say, some favorites. Jacob wrestling with the angel, right? The place of Peniel. I love that story. Or David and Goliath. What would life be like without that story? Awesome story. Or a favorite of many of yours, probably the 23rd Psalm, right? Or the prodigal son. Some of you love that one. Some of you hate that one. The Good Samaritan. Carl preached on a few weeks ago. One of the most beautiful stories, timeless. The Beatitudes, Mary Magdalene at the tomb. Paul's words on love from 1 Corinthians. And so much more. We should lift these up and often as the best of the Bible and what it has to offer. And keep growing from those stories. Absolutely, they are timeless. They speak to timeless and deep truths. But bless you. But this is where people get lost. And that's that it's okay to let so much of the rest of it go. Just let it go and admit that when it comes to mediating the experiences of the holy amidst our spiritual lives, the Bible time and again falls drastically short and woefully inadequate. The attempts at mediating the God experience by our ancient sisters and brothers is praiseworthy. I love it. It's praiseworthy. They're kindred spirits, like I said last week. But they also come from a time and an agenda of such narrow, tribal, and outdated modes of reasoning and thought and scientific understanding and ideas on relationships, especially patriarchy, right? Just to name a few problems with the book. And the sooner then we can gently set aside the Bible as, not throw it away, but set it aside as the defining purveyors of our spiritual lives, well, the sooner we can begin to look toward the blossoming of a new spirituality where it's not just our own tribes and our own sacred books that are treasured and special, but all people of the earth or the cosmos, all of creation on earth. and the cosmos are treasured. Everything's treasured as special beyond our tribes. And then walls can truly begin to be broken down, and that whole notion of interbeing can finally begin to build a new world. In other words, we are part of an ancient story that we are called to curate, that we are called to seek wisdom and meaning from, but we are also called to continue that story, to write new developments into our sacred story of creation, to tell the story anew amidst new discoveries and new ways of being, as our forebears did for their times when they sat down to write the books that we call the Bible. That's what they were doing. Sort of. The UCC motto might call it for us today, God is still speaking. But maybe the time has come for us to admit that mystery that we name God has never spoke a word, and will never speak in anything we call words, but rather speaks in the miracle and the wonder of creation, or in the simplest and most complex aspects of creation imaginable, and in the awesomeness and wonderment of creation in ways that transcend words or rules. The Bible's full of words and rules, isn't it? And rational thought. Maybe we need to get out of that. Perhaps we need to try on a new paradigm today, one in which the holy speaks not in words as like a book, but in the processes that unfold around us and within us that we are called to bear witness to and to revel in. So what does that mean, right? You're looking at me like, what? The heck does that mean? Well, it means that perhaps we can see holy presence speaking not in words, but in the beauty of the world that takes our breath away. You've had those moments, right? Where your breath is just taken away, those oh my God moments. Or speaking again not in words, but through inspiring new depths of created energy and appreciation. I mean, can we imagine God? I hate that word, God. It's so hard to get over, but let's say the eternal now. Let's lose God for now. Can you imagine the eternal now speaking through the processes of the natural world, the metamorphosis of a butterfly? You ever watch that process go on right out here? It's a miracle. Or the symmetry of a spider web. You ever really looked at a spider web? Dang amazing, isn't it? Or the colors of a sunrise and a sunset. Oh, or the beauty of a spiral galaxy flinging its light-year-long arms into the vastness of space. Oh. Or the eternal now speaking not in words, which is all too human. It's just too anthropocentric. But through the fingers of a pianist, right? Playing amazing music. Or the melodies of a young man who soon sing a solo for us. You know? Or the paintbrush of an artist. Or the work and the calculations and measurements of a scientist. How about the eternal now speaking through the glide of a dolphin when you're walking Honeymoon Island, or a mother bird feeding her young, you know, or a monarch dancing on the wind. You ever watch that? Or the eternal now speaking in the love that people share together. Why can't that be scripture? You know, and a couple holding hands and looking into one another's eyes. Or a spouse gently crying at beautiful memories of a loved one past. You know? How about the eternal now speaking in and through the tender care that a daughter right now is giving to her dying mother in the final days of life, as we know it, before transformation occurs? Or how about the eternal now speaking in a pile of food donations, just waiting to go and feed our hungry sisters and brothers at a food pantry? Or the smile one gives while serving folks falling on hard times, say the work we do at HEP. Acts of giving and selflessness. Why can't those be scriptures? Huh? Why can't those be holy? They don't happen in a book, you know? And we could go on with examples. But my point is that the eternal now speaks and speaks and speaks again, yet never in words. The eternal now, that which we name God, rather speaks through life and through creation and the process of creation and through the things that move us to tears and call us into the world to go beyond the limiting categories of reason and into the realm of love or the deep and awesome mysteries in which awe and wonder find their birth and their source. So maybe it's just time to stop listening for words of the God experience only in books. Rather, it's time to open ourselves to holy experience by paying deep attention to the everyday processes that seem like miracles at heart, that happen all around us all the time. From you to me, from your heartbeat to the heartbeat of a butterfly, to the heartbeat-like vibrations of a pulsating quasar 50 million light years away, there is just so much interconnectivity, divinity, and holiness all around us that it would take 1 million lifetimes just to go outside and take it all in. We need to trust that. We don't need to read about it. We've done that. We don't need to codify it or creedalize it. God knows we've done that too, right? We don't need to pray about it. Certainly don't need to worship it or even give it a divine name. We just need to stand before it, be awed, and be changed, and remember that we too are an intricate part of that as well. We are part of an unfolding miracle. And even more so, we've been given a special gift with our consciousness in the sense that we can take it all in, and we can revel in it, and we can speak to it, we can let it move us to new heights. I believe that is a gift we have been ignoring for far too long when it comes to our spiritual lives, because we've been trapped by a book, an ancient way, with contexts that no longer fit us, and worldviews that have just long since evolved beyond us. I find that really liberating. I hope you do too. Given that, I would like to see us move as a church into a new future, my friends, as a spiritual community, where we make a leap and begin to transcend being people beholden to an old book and an old way, to rather become people yearning to tell a new story, not of a new God or a new way of God, but of a new global spiritual openness and embrace of the holy in our midst, beyond the limiting categories of tribal belief. Many churches will continue to hold on. Many churches will continue to hold on to that old tribal, book-locked story. And as all the facts and statistics lead us and bear out, just need to go to the Pew website to see it, beyond a doubt, most of the churches that do that in other places of tribal faith will cease to exist sooner, likely rather than later. So let us instead be a place that continues to celebrate the story of the tradition, yes, that we find ourselves socially located within from childhood. That's how you got here. Most of you were socially located into Christianity, the Judeo-Christian tradition. So let's keep honoring that, especially the Jesus way, which we love. That's our home base. And the stories and ways of Jesus are ones that we admire, like the symbolic partaking of a shared meal together, breaking bread and communion, which I love. I love it. So let's continue to tell those stories of our tradition, but let's also cast our gaze and look to other great religions of the world and ask questions of their sacred texts and their ways, and what can we learn from them? You know, this is one world, right? This is one universe after all, and tribal factions with a pantheon of tribal gods is no longer going to work, if we're honest with ourselves, in this day and age. So what can we learn from other faiths to grow our own spiritual lives? Buddhism or Hindu faiths or Islam and Judaism, Native American spirituality or feminine divine spiritual movements, and so much more. What can they teach us? You ever ask yourself that? Or do you just go back to the book? And what can we learn from our poets? Those who really look deeply, who live holy, or our mystics and our prophets and our social activists and our scientists and our philosophers. What deep spiritual insights do they have to share with us? Why close the door, this is my overall question, to holy, luminous inspiration from only those writers that wrote long ago in a Bible and a canon that was then closed, as though they're the only people who could ever have tried to experience anything divine? And we got to keep everything locked 3,600 years ago to 2,000 years ago. Don't look beyond it. I find that foolish when I think about it. Comical at the least. So what can we learn from those in the last 1,000 years or 200 years or right now today? How about Amanda Gorman? What can we learn from her? Her awesome poetry. You know, Gerard Manley Hopkins talking about God shining out like shook foil. What can we learn from them and their scriptures and their words of God? Those are questions that I would like us to explore in more detail in the coming weeks and the months and the years, especially in the coming weeks as we enter into a new sermon series that's actually going to stick. It's called Beyond the Bible. We're going to explore exactly that. What if we don't touch the Bible for 5 weeks? Oh my, what if we don't even mention it? Can we do that? Will we be struck by lightning? I see some, oh yeah. Whoa, I can see like Jefferson's head is exploding right now. Some of these pastors are like, what do you mean you're not going to touch the Word of God? Are they a church? Or more than a church? Or a spiritual community? So we're going to have some fun in the coming weeks. Now, having said all that, and an interesting way to close this sermon with you, I'm going to use the Bible. One more time. But it's with those words of Jesus that Tom read for us. Because he said something really, really interesting for me that gives us license to just go and explore and go crazy with our spiritual lives. He said, well, it's going to be interpreted several ways, but this is how I'm using it. I never let the facts get in the way of a good story. He said, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. In another scripture, on a similar level by Jesus about the kingdom of God, he said, the kingdom will not come with observable signs, nor will people say, oh, look, there it is, or here it's coming. For in fact, the kingdom of heaven is already among you. How do we miss that? How do we miss that? Becoming a child, as I see it, means that you don't have to have all the dang answers. You don't need to create God of the gaps to identify everything you can't explain. You can live with mystery. Children live with an incredible sense of curiosity, right? And wonder, and awe and imagination. So Jesus said, be like them. Become like them and glimpse the heart of the spiritual life and in the kingdom of heaven, as he called it, or the realm of the divine, or the realm of the holy, as I prefer. Jesus said this is not a thing or a time to come, this realm. It's not a thing or a time to come, rather it's right in front of your nose. But he knew something else, that if we are just so blinded as adults and set in our ways, so sure of our systems and our books and our beliefs, so rigid in our certainties, well, then we'll miss out on the whole thing that's blossoming right in front of us. The realm of God is on display, but we'll likely miss it because we've been blinded to it. Become like children, he says. Explore, touch, be amazed, be awed, play, love everyone like kids do. Kids love everyone, right? Practice an expansive, inclusive love. They do that so well till we screw it all up as adults. Do those things like children, and the grandeur of God will truly come alive. So let's take Jesus' invitation in the coming weeks, really the rest of our lives, and let's channel our inner child before all the dogma and the creeds were set in, the threats of judgment and exclusion. Let's channel our inner child, and let's explore the world through a new spiritual lens that can set the world on a new kind of spiritual fire that we have never been encouraged to see before. So from the mountains and the forests of the Buddha, traveling with the Buddha to the Vedas of the Hindu Upanishads, through the motif of the Mother Goddess and the feminine divine, which is something I really want to explore, to the plains of Native Americans, to intricate poetic movements, perhaps with Mary Oliver looking at a grasshopper, or to a fork in the road with Robert Frost, and so much more. We will channel our inner children and travel the world's spiritual movements with the hope of just being awed. And I think that's pretty cool. So put your Bibles away. Ever think you'd hear that in a church? Put them away and let them collect dust again. And open yourselves to the childlike journey that awaits the heart of your spiritual life. It's going to be a fun few weeks or the rest of our lives. Who knows? But we'll journey together. Peace be with you all. Amen.
God on high, hear my prayer and my need. You have always been there. He is young. Afraid, let him rest. Heaven bless. Bring him home. Bring him home. Bring him home. He's like the sun I might have known if God had granted me a son. The summers fly one by one, how soon they fly on, and I am old, and I will be gone. Bring him peace, bring him joy. He is young, he is only a boy. You can take, you can get.
Tom, that was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we come to that time of communion together, one of my favorite times of the month. I mean that. I love communion here. You know why I love it here? Because we make a bold proclamation that all are welcome to the table. In day and age, you're hearing about more exclusion and people being excluded from communion tables because they're not this or that, or they are this or that, or believe this or that. Ain't how Jesus would have intended it, right? Not at all. Communion is as inclusive as it comes. It's a shared meal of love and acceptance and wonder together at the spiritual life. So all are welcome here at this feast. Quick note, we come up the aisles there. You can make two lines. There's bread on the corners of the table, and they're beautiful. What is it? Rosemary, olive oil bread. Oh, my favorite bread. Jesus only ate good bread, so we only eat good bread. And then gluten-free. I know the Vatican has a problem with it, but we got gluten-free, and we count it here right in the middle for you as well, for your convenience. And then we'll have juice over here at the side. You'll notice we ran out of cups. Welcome to the pandemic. We thought we had boxes of those. We did not. So we'll have some for next week. So rather than using shot glasses, we went and found another kind of cup here for us to use. So just be careful maybe when you pick one out of there. They're a little more shaky. So, but all are welcome. That's the basis of this feast. All are welcome. Will you join me in our litany? We come together at this table of remembrance with all of our differences, with all of the various stories that we have to tell. Our differences make us stronger when we realize that the thing we share is that we experience God, the essence of life, the spirit of mystery somewhere in our lives and our encounters with and in the world. In gratitude. God, which impels that compassion. May this gratitude extend to action. Action to make the world a better place to live. Action to help our strangers, our neighbors as well as strangers. Action to bring into consciousness the spirit of life, the hope of peace, and the source of all. Today, as we gather for communion in this sacred and holy place, we do so remembering how Jesus ate with his friends so many times, and they would eat and talk, often asking questions and wondering about God. And on that last night together, after their conversation at the table, well, Jesus, he went and took some really good bread, and he blessed it, and he broke it, and he shared it with his friends, saying, "Take it, eat. This is my body, which is given for you. Do this, remembering me." Then Jesus took a cup of wine, and he gave thanks. I'm sure it was very good wine, too. He gave thanks, and he passed it to his disciples, saying, "Drink this, all of you. This is the cup of the new covenant of love. Whenever you drink of this cup, do so remembering me." I wonder if you'll join me in a little more intentional time of centering ourselves here and a time of prayer. Oh, since ancient times, people have gathered together to celebrate the living presence of the Spirit of Christ in their midst, breaking bread and together and sharing wine as a symbol of love and remembrance, and as a symbol that our lives are a journey through the ordinary and the extraordinary in life. So we also come together on this day with an ordinary meal, just as followers of Jesus did long ago, to perhaps catch a glimpse of the kingdom of God that he so often spoke of, the vision of life for all, eat together. where all enjoy the breads and the fruits of the earth in abundance, where all are loved just for who they are. So may this shared journey, this act of communion, inspire us toward more wholeness and remind us of our common humanity. May our eyes be open to the extraordinary in our midst through this meal, in the world around us, in the cosmos, and of course in each one of us, the cosmos come alive. And even as we come together to share this meal and with all that we bring forward to the table, we do so recognizing that harmony and peace, oh God, is just not as it should be in our world, but so many are suffering, and pain and poverty and war and oppression and racism and violence and exclusion, so much more that keeps us from feeling whole in this life. And so we lift our world, your world, in the spirit of prayer for peace and unity and love of diversity and love amongst one another and for ourselves. This time we also know many among us that will come to this very table who are struggling, and those that we also hold in our hearts who are suffering in mind or body or spirit, and we lift them to your holy presence. And may that holy presence rise up in the hearts of all who suffer, that they may know peace, healing, and wholeness. And likewise, may that holy presence envelop each of us as well, allowing us to be bringers of comfort and bearers of good news, and reminding us of the good times and the not so good times, that the divine spark of hope is never farther than the beat of our own hearts in each breath we take. Be with those who are suffering and struggling this day, O God, and in the week ahead. Bring them a powerful presence of peace and comfort. Let's join our voices now before we come to the table and this beautiful prayer based on a little more modern interpretation of that ancient prayer that Jesus taught us. Will you join me? Essence of life that is in us, that permeates every fiber and molecule of the universe, awe-inspiring piece of God for you. Let us ponder your closeness, compassion, empathy, understanding of all creation. Give us what is necessary to live, and wipe clean the slate of our mistakes, our unkindnesses, our failures to act, as we forgive the unkindnesses and mistakes of others. Help us to do what is right for our world, and keep us safe as we avoid the pitfalls of resistance. For you are us, our connectedness, the energy, the power, and the magnificence, for all time, eternity, and timelessness. Namaste and Amen. The table is ready for you, my friends. Just a reminder, come on up the center aisle, bread and juice. If you're unable to come forward, just not comfortable coming forward, Joanne will come and find you and serve you right where you are. Let us feast together. Bread of new life. Let's sing. That's the bread of new life. Blessings on you. You're all going to have to come up and have seconds of that wonderful rosemary olive oil bread. Please do afterwards. Let's not let it go to waste. Will you join me in our prayer of thanksgiving? May we be as living loaves, kneaded and shaped by the hands of God. May we be as wine in the Spirit, poured out that others might know joy. May love be the leaven within. May love be the flavor of thought and word and deed. Peace be among us all in this beautiful world and among all creation. Amen. Hey, we're coming to the end of our service, and we're really coming to the end of our service. I'd start planning for like an hour and a half here on Sunday mornings. We love our announcement time, and it's so wonderful to hear everybody's joys and concerns, at least maybe until football season, right? And then we'll kind of cut it a little bit. No, your joys and concerns are way more important than a bunch of overpaid athletes chasing a ball around. Okay, get that clear. Quick note, too, I wanted to share. We're soon, I know some of you had talked about the speaker in the back not working. That's because it's not hooked up. So that would be why it doesn't work. So we're looking at getting the speaker hooked up in there and putting a new speaker in there, or running our service directly to the TV so they keep the same time. We're going to run to the back so parents and kids can have some time, and we're going to reset that back room, and soon you'll be able to hear in there as well, and with the back speaker. So watch for some upgrades on our sound coming soon, and hopefully it'll just get better. Oh, I didn't know it was such an issue. Wow. Anything else you want to air in this time, huh? Thank you, my friends. It's your generosity that allows us to do that, to have money to be able to fix sound and speakers. So that's a good segue for me to say thank you for your incredible generosity that allows for those kinds of things. If you're visiting with us, whether you're online with us, and you're like, I want to make a love offering to the work that we do at this place, you can go right online. You can scan that QR code, or just visit our website and faithucc.org, and you can click on that give button. Otherwise, if you're in here and you got all those stacks of cash in your pocket, just waiting to get rid of it, lighten up your pants load. You got plates at the back tables by Lord Countryside back there. So go ahead and make a deposit right into those plates. That's a love offering. Thank you for all you give. You're such a generous, incredibly generous congregation. I'll never stop saying that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I wish you a wonderful week, a blessed week. I hope you'll maybe gather up here for little talk back after if you want to talk about that sermon, or you want to talk about the Bible, or you want to share things that are important to you about the Bible, or where you hope your spiritual life is going. I want to hear all of that and more. So do come up and get some hospitality, maybe take 10 minutes and come on up front, and we will have a rich conversation. But I want to wish you a blessed week. However your weeks are going to mold out for you, if you're busy or relaxing, whatever it is, I hope you have a wonderful, holy, and spiritually rich, filled with beautiful miracles of the Spirit all over the place, popping left and right for you. I hope it's a great week for you. Peace be with you all. Let's sing our way out of here for peace as we do each week. Let there be peace on earth. And in the cosmos too. Why not? We have to change the words. Let there be peace in the cosmos. And let it begin with me. Peace be with you all, my friends. Go in peace, everyone. Love one another. Serve that great mystery we name God. Amen.